From KSAT 12, the 6 o'clock news starts right now.
A family is in mourning tonight, trying to process the devastating loss of 3 siblings.
Yeah, the 2 brothers and sister were killed in a crash on Thousand Oaks in Alamo Blanco near Nacogdoches.
That's where Patty Santos joins us live. Patty, you've been able to talk to that family.
Yeah, we just saw a procession of people, this family, friends, walking here to the intersection. You can see the group here now gathering for this vigil. The crash killed 3 siblings. Their ages 22, 17, and 9 years old. It happened around the corner from their house around 10:30 last night. And the aunt tells me they left to the grocery store to pick up medicine for their mom. They were killed on their way back. Coming up in the Nightbeat, we talked to a neighbor who witnessed this crash. We're also going to get some answers from the city as to why this stretch of road here was on their radar. That's coming up tonight on the Nightbeat. We'll send it back to you.
All right, Patty, thank you. New video shows the intensity of a fire that destroyed a family's home in northeast Bexar County. This happened Sunday afternoon in the 8900 block of Twin Creek Farm in Converse. Neighbors say they heard a loud bang, then looked outside to see the home next door up in flames. Video from that Ring doorbell camera shows those flames, and right there, those deputies rushing to get people outside. The homes on either side of the house that caught fire were also damaged.
I can smell the smoke. The smoke was starting to come into the bedroom. All you could see was fire on that side. So I just grabbed some clothes and ran out.
It's no words to describe it. It's very hard, just real emotional times.
The Bexar County Fire Marshal is now investigating to find out what caused that fire. Nobody here was hurt, but the Red Cross is now helping out the family that lost everything.
New at 6 every week, hundreds of people in Bexar County summoned for jury duty. But right now, COVID-19 and the flu leading some people not to show up. Max Massey has more on the importance of jury duty and what you should know when you get that summons.
The first week of jury panels are ramping back up for 2023 at the courthouse and at the Justice Center. Lines are forming the hallways as trials start back up. With the flu and COVID, they're causing concerns whether jurors will actually show up.
So right now, even though the numbers are going up, we are concerned, but we are still meeting the requirements needed for a complete panel.
For any given week, about 500 jurors are needed, as each court will require about 35 to 75 for a complete panel.
If they don't come, courts cannot have jury trials. And if they can't have jury trials, then justice isn't being served.
As a reminder, the process in which jury summons take place is a bit different since the pandemic forced changes. Now you have to register online and make sure you check out those jury summons. You may not have to report first to the central jury room. You may have to check in on Zoom.
There are summons that are out for JPs. Those have to show in person. We do have special settings where they have to come directly to the courthouse, but most of them are going to be Zoom from home on the first day, and then on the first day you're told whether you have to come in directly into a courtroom.
And if you miss jury, you can be fined or found in contempt. But the chief central jury bailiff says she hasn't seen that happen, and it's best to just reach out to her office.
It's not like we're going to send somebody to look for you. You can give us a call and we will postpone you.
Max Massey, KSAT 12 News.
New at 6, for a local foster care organization exploding in size, there are some basic necessities like transportation for over 800 foster children that they serve. Leaders at SJRC Texas tell our Courtney Friedman they cried some happy tears when they got some much needed help.
For years, you've seen KSAT coverage of foster care organization SJRC Texas, which used to only run 2 residential homes serving about 75 kids.
We serve now over 800 children.
Chief Development Officer Cynthia Lopez explains in 2021, the state of Texas awarded SJRC the contract to oversee placement and case management of foster kids in 27 counties, excluding Bexar County. They created a whole new division to handle the new job called Belong.
So we had about 75 employees as well, and now we have over 270.
Some of those employees are on a transportation team tasked with driving those 800 plus children daily.
Various placements, doctor's appointments, court hearings, and even visitations with their families. picking them up from school, taking them to and from different jobs.
This is one of the old vans that they were using before the grant, which is great for big groups and of course moms with kids, but you don't always need this much space. Plus, this thing is a huge gas guzzler. That's why the team was elated when Valero Energy granted SJRC and Belong $400,000 for 11 new vehicles. Many of the new cars are regular SUVs.
If the children are dropped off in vans like that, it made them a little bit self-conscious. But now, because we have smaller SUVs and so forth, kind of helps them to be able to fit in with everybody else, especially if they're going to school.
Providing a sense of dignity for children who have landed in the system after enduring abuse and neglect at home. Courtney Friedman, KSAT 12 News.
Check out traffic right now on this Monday. We're going to go to Loop 410 in Broadway. That's where the camera is, and we're actually looking at an accident that may be on 281. It's kind of backing things up. Again, the camera's Loop 410 in Broadway, but I believe this accident actually on 281 itself. Well, new at 6, when most think of the Holocaust, they seldom think of censorship. This year, it is the theme for the 11th annual Holocaust Learn and Remember series, organized by the San Antonio Public Library and the Holocaust Memorial Museum of San Antonio. Jesse Degollado says the month-long series delves into the past in order to learn from it.
San Antonio neighborhoods see it every now and again.
I picked one up and opened it, and inside I found these disgusting anti-Semitic flyers full of propaganda and disgusting things about Jewish people.
Over a year ago, anti-Semitism was even on public display across from the Jewish Federation of San Antonio. But even so,
our San Antonio community is very special because we do not tolerate these issues and these things that come up in our community.
Instead, it continues to come together for the annual Holocaust Learn and Remember series. Now in its 11th year, the San Antonio Public Library and the Holocaust Memorial Museum showcase materials and speakers in hopes of learning how to avoid the horrors of the past.
There have been some atrocities that we need to understand, and we need to know where they came from and how they occurred.
This year's focus, how censorship and destroying books laid the groundwork for the Nazis. Informative displays about the Holocaust at local libraries certainly get the message across, but they say the challenge is changing anti-Semitic beliefs.
I think that we start one person at a time. We need to understand that we are all one people, one humanity, and together, if we stand up against hate in any form, that we can make a difference.
Jesse Degollado, KSAT 12 News.
Today marks a big step for UTSA in its downtown expansion. The university unveiled San Pedro 1, a new hub for high-tech education and research along the San Pedro Creek. UTSA says this is a world-class facility that will usher in a new era of high-tech education, research, and innovation in Texas. The $91.8 million facility will house the university's National Security Collaboration Center and new School of Data Science. At today's grand opening, we heard from a lot of local leaders who said this is exciting not just for UTSA, but for the city as a whole.
We're all in on the business of preparing a future workforce that's trained, it's been trained equitably, and it's here to stay here and work in our economy. So we're really excited about today and what it means.
San Pedro 1 is the first project in UTSA's 10-year plan to boost its downtown campus. The school's goal is to make itself a destination for producing professionals in data science, data analytics, and national security. The next step is San Pedro 2, the development of the property that's right next door.
An alleyway at the center of downtown San Antonio being turned into an artist's dream, and the group designing it needs your input. This is Peacock Alley, just off of Broadway. Central San Antonio asking for community feedback on concepts and designs for the alley. Selected artists will be getting a grant from Centro San Antonio's 2023 Spring Series. Project leaders hope Peacock Alley doesn't just help local artists, but local small businesses in the area as well.
All of this is to really inspire and support small businesses, as well as really reclaim spaces for locals. So what better way to make memories in downtown than with locals supporting locals, and Peacock Alley is that communal space.
The grants will be awarded at the end of the month.
Let's take a look outside with live cam this evening, continuing what we saw Sunday, a beautiful start to a new week, Adam.
Yeah, beautiful start and comfortable outside. I just wish we could have mustered up some good rain over the weekend. We did east of town, especially parts of Lavaca County, just west of Hallettsville and Moulton. Yeah, over 5 inches of rain, but around here, nothing. And high and dry right now, clear skies, 69 degrees, a dew point of 49. Now, the dew point's going to rise a little bit as the air temperature drops, and they'll meet in the lower 50s. That's going to lead to some areas of fog with the saturated air later tonight. Still, temperatures comfortable for now. We're in the upper 60s to near 70, 68 Helotes, 69 Bulverde, and Stinson measuring 69 degrees. As we go through the evening hours, clear, but after midnight, that's when the fog starts to develop. Not much of a breeze out there. 58 degrees at 10 p.m. By midnight, we're at 56. We have a midweek cold front to talk about, and if there's any chance for rain with that front, and what it means for our mountain cedar count in just a bit.
Yeah, keeping a close eye on that. Thanks, Adam. The company behind an RSV prevention therapy is hoping to get it on the market within a matter of months. What the early trials are showing and the timetable for when this could be available. Next at 6.
It caught on camera at the Migrant Welcoming Center in El Paso, a man seen thrown to the ground by law enforcement. The video was posted to Facebook by the Opportunity Center for the Homeless. The person in law enforcement pushes this person against the windows, then slams the person to the ground and begins handcuffing them. Another person who also appears to be law enforcement stands over them. The U.S. Customs and Border Protection Service says they're investigating this incident.
Welcome back. I'm Stefania Jimenez, and here's a peek at what we have for you tonight on the Nightbeat. You're going to learn more about a new strategy to treat PTSD. After years of research, UT Health is using this technique on veterans, and so far, it's helped 75% of them successfully fight symptoms. You're going to see how different it is from all of the other treatments. And this comes just as the American Academy of Pediatrics releases guidelines to treat kids with obesity. The new recommendations for teens and children as young as just 2 years old. Plus, a San Antonio family reeling after losing 3 family members in one deadly crash. Tonight, we're speaking with that family and the city about safety concerns on the roadway where they died. Those stories and so much more tonight on the Nightbeat.
Thanks, Stefania. New at 6, a new antibody treatment to protect against RSV in infants would be the first of its kind, but it has to go to the Food and Drug Administration for review first. If it passes muster there, it could be on the market in a matter of months.
For months, RSV had a grip on the U.S. As cases rose, some pediatric hospitals were overwhelmed. But the latest CDC data shows the virus has peaked in the U.S.
RSV is down. That's good.
And now there's a potential therapy in the fight against future RSV cases in infants. The FDA is reviewing nirsevimab, a long-acting antibody for the prevention of lower respiratory tract infections caused by RSV. The first-of-its-kind antibody would be administered as a single dose. In a statement, the companies that developed the therapy said the FDA, quote, has indicated it will work to expedite its review, and approval could happen sometime this summer. Adding, quote, if approved, we believe nirsevimab may transform the medical community's approach to RSV prevention in infants, and we're committed to working with the FDA to support completion of the review as quickly as possible, end quote. Data from a phase 3 trial published in the New England Journal of Medicine found RSV infections requiring medical attention happened in 1.2% of infants who received the therapy, compared with 5% of infants who got the placebo. That means the treatment is more than 74% effective, and no safety concerns were identified.
Now, in November, the therapy was authorized for marketing in the European Union, and additional regulatory submissions for the treatment are underway around the world, according to the companies that have developed it.
Sky 12 out and about over, I believe that's Mission San Juan.
One of the beautiful missions that we have here in town. This is kind of a dark, grainy picture, but it's been a beautiful, clear day out there, Adam. But like you said, we need more rain.
Yeah, we do. And unfortunately, it's just skirting around us right now. And, of course, that picture is dark because sunset 5:52 p.m. It's that time of year where the sun sets, early, even though we are slowly gaining daylight now that we're past the winter solstice. All right, let's talk about our headlines. Fog the next couple of mornings. So anticipate that after midnight tonight, and especially through the morning commute tomorrow, and then again another round on Wednesday morning. Midweek cold front is going to affect our temperatures and give us a bit of a temperature swing, but not give us a freeze. You'll notice a drop, but it's highly unlikely we'll have a freeze around here in San Antonio. Across the state, mostly 60s and 70s. Pretty similar temperatures across the Lone Star State right now. No big temperature disparity out there right now, our big temperature range. 69 in San Antonio, Hondo 68 degrees, New Braunfels at 65, and Kerrville 66. Now tomorrow morning, anticipate low 50s in and around San Antonio, some upper 40s in the hill country, Rock Springs, Kerrville, 48 degrees. And then by tomorrow afternoon with a lot of sunshine, a warm day. I mean, we'll be up into the upper 70s around town, but you get south and west of San Antonio. Cotulla 83, Del Rio up to 82 tomorrow afternoon, and locally for the most part upper 70s. That's 77 Timberwood Park to 78 in Elmendorf, and Castroville up to 80 degrees tomorrow. Then we get into Wednesday, and it's going to be very similar. We've got the morning fog giving way to a lot of sunshine, southwesterly breeze at 5 to 15. Wednesday's the same, morning fog, afternoon sun up to 80. But then look what happens. Cold front hits Wednesday night. Our high temperatures drop back down into the 60s, but that's still above average. The average high is 63. And will be about 67 to 68 for highs Thursday, Friday, and Saturday. So this front does reset us a little bit, but it doesn't even bring us back down to average for this time of year. Now let's talk about rain and the pattern. Big story still, West Coast, especially California, another atmospheric river coming on shore. And basically what that is, it's a narrow line of very thick moisture coming in off the Pacific that then hits the coastline and especially the higher terrain. California, many slopes there, right? Hits that, lifts, and generates the heavy precipitation. This moisture is pushing eastward, and part of its disturbance is going to move eastward as well and help stir up a new cold front that's going to be moving through Wednesday night, the front I mentioned. It's going to keep the moisture, though, up here with it in the plains. It looks like a dry frontal passage, so that little upper disturbance will influence our weather, but unfortunately not in the way that we need it to. In the way that we want it to. Then behind it on the backside, another ridge builds, a bump in the upper level flow, and that means high and dry. So you look at the general precipitation forecast here, and this is just a very general representation of just the highest odds for rain and the heaviest rain or precipitation on the west coast here. But notice it's all around us. It's not over Texas, but up and down the plains for the most part looking dry over the next week. One thing we will notice with that midweek front, wind. So Tuesday, Wednesday, gusts maybe 10 to 15 miles per hour. Thursday, we're gusting, I think, 30 to even 35 miles per hour. Here, this model is saying 27. I think it's going to be even higher than that. Probably wind gusts out of the north at 30 to 35 miles per hour. And we know what that does to Mountain Cedar. Today, the count is moderate at 580. Wednesday night, the cold front moves through. North wind kicks in for Thursday. North wind steady at 15 to 25. So anticipate the Mountain Cedar count to rise and really spike by Thursday with the arrival of that cold front and the north wind. A lot of sunshine. Other than the morning fog the next couple of days, we're looking at a lot of sunshine and low temperatures only dropping down to near 40. So we could have some upper 30s in and around Bexar County and San Antonio by Friday and Saturday, but we're not talking, take in the plants and use the precautions behind this cold front. Not that kind of a cold front.
At least on Thursday, we'll need the tissues, the eye drops.
Prepare now.
That kind of stuff. Thanks, Adam.
All right, now, they were not intimidated in the semifinal against Michigan. I think the Horned Frogs give them a game tonight.
Well, I'll tell you what, the odds makers don't think so. They have right now Georgia almost 2 touchdown favors. But remember, TCU has surprised a lot of folks going into this national championship game. When we come back, we'll hear from both the head coaches. And Damar Hamlin released from the hospital in Cincinnati for more treatment back in Buffalo now. Coming up. The TCU Horned Frogs will face the Georgia Bulldogs tonight in SoFi Stadium in Los Angeles to decide who wins the college football playoff national championship. And once again, the Horned Frogs will be the underdogs after upsetting number 2 Michigan 51-45 in the Fiesta Bowl. And this week, they have gone from 12.5-point underdogs to 13-point favorite for Georgia, who is looking to become the first school to repeat as national champion since Alabama pulled it off in 2011 and 12. For the Big 12, having TCU involved in the national championship is huge. And for San Antonio, just as prideful, with guys like safety Millard Bradford and offensive lineman Brandon Brown out of O'Connor High School suiting up for TCU. Both head coaches held their final press conferences on Sunday before kickoff in just a matter of minutes.
This is obviously our first time to be on a stage like this, and our players have really responded well to the challenge of taking all this in because it's new for us and it's uncharted territory for most of our players. You've heard me say this before, but we have 4 players on our team that had ever participated in a bowl game before this year's Fiesta Bowl.
Tremendous honor to be here. 130-something teams start out trying to achieve this, and there's 2 left. And I think it speaks volumes to the character of both teams.
All right, kickoff will be at 6:30 in a very rainy Los Angeles.
Pro football coverage powered by Davis Law Firm.
First, the Texans' Lovie Smith last night, and today Cliff Kingsbury becomes the latest NFL coach to lose his job after he was fired by the Arizona Cardinals. Kingsbury, who grew up in New Braunfels after he was born here in San Antonio, was a quarterback for the Unicorns before moving on to Texas Tech and later into coaching, where he was the offensive coordinator at Texas A&M when Johnny Manziel won the Heisman Trophy in 2012. And get this, his firing comes less than a year after he signed a contract extension with the Cardinals through 2027. Kingsbury's dismissal comes one day after the Cardinals lost to the 49ers 38-13 to finish their season at 4-13. It's nothing short of a miracle. 1 week after he suffered a cardiac arrest on the field of Monday Night Football and fought for his life in critical condition in intensive care, Damar Hamlin has been released from the hospital in Cincinnati and returned to Buffalo for more treatment after watching his Bills beat the Patriots on Sunday. And he got to see a number of tributes to him before kickoff in Buffalo, not just from his teammates, but from the fans of the Patriots as well. And then he got the ultimate tribute when Nyheim Hines returned the opening kickoff for a touchdown in the Bills' 35-23 victory over New England. In fact, Hines would do that twice in the game. Now the Bills are headed for the playoffs, but they will host the Dolphins on Sunday. Our San Antonio Spurs are in Memphis for back-to-back games with the Grizzlies beginning tonight in just about over 30 minutes from now. They are trying to shake off their narrow loss to the Beast of the East, the Boston Celtics, on Saturday without 3 of their starters, Keldon Johnson, Devin Vassell, and Jakob Poeltl, but still only lost by 5 points. Tonight, Keldon has been downgraded to out with tightness in that left hamstring, and Poeltl is available, and Devin Vassell set to undergo his arthroscopic procedure on his left knee Wednesday in New York. So here's a matchup tonight. It will take place at 7 o'clock, and we'll have all the highlights for you tonight on the Night Beat. When the Spurs do return home from Memphis on Wednesday, the Alamo Dome will be waiting for them. Installation of the Fiesta-themed court was completed today in the Final Four configuration for their 50th anniversary game on Friday against Golden State, where the Spurs are not only hoping to break the NBA's all-time regular season record attendance of 62,046, but shatter it with 65,000 in attendance. And you know what might help? Steph Curry has been upgraded to probable for tomorrow night's game against Phoenix. That means he might be available to play in that game come this Friday.
And at last check, were there like 5,000 tickets left?
Well, about 2,600 now over the weekend. So we're getting a little closer to the record, but they want to go 65.
Let's sell it out.
Just make sure.
Absolutely. Thanks, Greg.
You got it.
Hospitals in New York City thrown into turmoil after 7,000 nurses go on strike at 2 major hospitals. How other facilities there are being affected and why these nurses are picketing. Next.
More than 7,000 nurses are actually on strike at 2 major New York City hospitals, leaving other hospitals scrambling to try to pick up the slack with ambulances and patients rerouted to other facilities. As Ivan Rodriguez reports, hundreds of nurses on the picket line say one of the reasons for the strike is staffing shortages, which are causing widespread burnout.
The nurses united will never be defeated.
After negotiations with two major hospital organizations in New York City failed, more than 7,000 nurses are on strike.
This is not about the nurses, it's not about us. We are trying to fight for our patients.
The two hospitals at the center of negotiations, Mount Sinai and Montefiore. Although the union agreed to similar pay raises at other hospitals, it says its major complaint is nurses being overworked and understaffed after years of battling COVID-19.
It was never about wages. It was always about safe patient care. And Mount Sinai know that what we need from them is proper nurse-to-patient ratios, is proper enforcement for staffing.
Until a deal can be reached, ambulances and patients are being rerouted to other hospitals and NICU babies are being sent to other locations. Some elective procedures have also been postponed.
Imagine anticipating something, whether it's starting, your chemo or continuing it for oncology or cardiac surgery or anything like that. I think that, even when we have time to get some sleep, that's what keeps us awake.
Although they say they'd rather be inside helping their patients, nurses vow to remain on the picket line until a deal is reached.
If you see nurses outside, there's something wrong inside the building. So that's why it's enough is enough. We have to be outside.
I'm Ivan Rodriguez reporting.
News around America now. The highest court in the land won't be hearing a case alleging election fraud in the 2020 election. The so-called long shot case filed by a man in Utah sought to have hundreds of elected officials removed from office, including President Joe Biden and Vice President Kamala Harris. Lower courts dismissed the case for various reasons, including a lack of jurisdiction. In November, the U.S. Solicitor General waived the government's right to respond to the matter.
It's taken more than 6 months, but the investigation into former President Donald Trump's efforts to overturn the 2020 election in Georgia has been completed by a special grand jury there. Now, special grand juries in Georgia cannot issue indictments, but the panel has written a final report on whether Fulton County District Attorney Fannie Willis should pursue charges. It's also recommended that report be published. A hearing is scheduled for January 24th to discuss whether to make the final report public. The 23-person special grand jury seated in May of 2020 with the power to subpoena witnesses.
The cryptocurrency industry is starting 2023 amid some growing fraud concerns, from failed digital coin exchanges to online scams. And now law enforcement and federal regulators are issuing some new warnings. Listen to this. The FBI says scammers in so-called pig butchering schemes fatten up the pig by getting the victim to think that they're investing in crypto and then steal their money and butcher off communication. Here's Mike Valerio.
Get ready for another crypto roller coaster ride this 2023. The FBI and other agencies are raising concerns about an online scam called pig butchering.
We're not talking about what's going on farms. We're talking about a cryptocurrency investment scam that is sweeping the country. It is costing Americans billions of dollars in losses.
Authorities are urging you to be careful when getting random texts or messages through social media with invitations to start investing in cryptocurrencies.
When you finally ask for your money, guess what? Your friend has disappeared.
It comes as several recent crypto-related headlines sent a chill through an already anxious community. First, Sam Bankman-Fried, the founder of failed crypto exchange platform called FTX, pleaded not guilty this month to federal fraud and conspiracy charges linked to his company's meltdown. Then, the SEC charged 6 people in an investment scheme called CoinDeal that raised more than $45 million on false promises of access to blockchain technology. And also this month, U.S. regulators have issued their first joint statement warning banks and others about the risks of fraud, volatility, and poor risk management in the crypto world. So what can you do to avoid becoming a victim? Law enforcement officials say scammers usually target their victims by sending mass texts, hoping somebody takes the bait.
Perpetrators of these crimes have been trained in techniques of psychological deception, in techniques to gain people's trust.
I'm Mike Valerio.
Let's take a look at traffic out there right now. Not too much to look at on the roads this evening as we finish the first day of the work week. Smooth sailing here at 410 and Ingram, but some commutes could be affected by road construction to come. The potential trouble spots next.